All right, ladies and gentlemen, hope you had a wonderful weekend. I got your watch list coming in December 9th, 2019, and these three stocks are going to go crazy, and we got a news impacted week, so I hope you guys are ready. Got the keys for tomorrow, got some key things to talk about with what's happening. If you don't know, the Federal Reserve, Tuesday and Wednesday, we are going to get the interest rate decision, then we're going to get a press conference from Jerome Powell. That is one of those, if you've ever heard me say spreads and events, this is one of them, but by understanding what's expected out of this event, you could get a better idea of how to play it. So I want to talk about that, go over some of the general keys and even some of the plays I'm going to be looking for, and then the three stocks. I want to go over one of the plays we made on Thursday. That is playing the Fed, that is playing the bank stock. Then I want to look at some potential TLTs. We're going to talk about those and another play you could get there, and then something completely unrelated to the Fed. So got all that for you. Hopefully you guys are ready. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you like your video, and oh yes, the most important thing you need to do, post your watch list below. Let us know what you're looking at. Post your plays for this week. What are you expecting out of the Fed? There is a chance for a black swan, but not really. Again, there's just so much going on, even politically, but we'll talk about that. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are towards this. Oh, and yes, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open. It's the first link in the description. So if you want to see these plays while we do it, or even just want to hang out with us during the market, get your news. It's the #1 news source in the world. We had that news video, youtube.com/the stock market. First link in the description, pinned in the comments. Yes, the code loves you, baby. But yes, let's get into it. So right off the bat, you got Fed on Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, I believe you're going to start hearing from some of the Fed and what they're going over on Tuesday. Then the interest rate decision is going to be on Wednesday. And then 30 minutes after the interest rate decision comes out, there's a press conference. That's where Jerome Powell comes and speaks and talks about it. He has prepared statements and then he answers questions. So on Wednesday, there's going to be a move the minute the interest rate decision comes out. But now for this meeting that we have here, is the market's not expecting anything like we've seen in the past. So the market's pretty uniform that no action is going to be made. The Fed kind of made that clear at the last meeting. So we're going to see. But even from a play perspective, if you want to go about playing these, you can set up a play that covers both this week or next week. Wait till after the event. And again, too, because after the actual interest rate decision drops, that's one potential move area. But then after the press conference, you're going to see what happens. And then there's going to be that follow-up after there. So it's coming out on Wednesday. So there's going to be Thursday and Friday, and that's really what I'm going to be watching for here is the moves leading up to the Fed. If we see something or actually even get big moves coming into prior to the Fed, and then the 2 days after, because it's the week ends, and then literally that Friday or that Saturday, we're supposed to hear about what's going to happen with the tariff. So kind of a 1-2 punch, and there's a lot going on. That's why it's so exciting. But watch for moves. Again, this is leading into the end of the year. This is leading into that Santa Claus rally. So think of a more melt up rather than surging. So we might get a series of smaller moves that will chain link into an overall wider move, rather than these kind of big moves that we've kind of seen in the last few days. So these were two big moves down, and then you got slow moves up here, but then we got that big surge on Friday. But think about this melt-up fashion that we've already seen before. But watch out for that, and like we said, the market here is pricing in no action for the Fed. This is what, again, the Fed hinted at, but if there is now any sort of action, if there is a cut or even a raise, anything of that would be a black swan, because that is very, very unlikely for this event. That's why what comes out on Tuesday or what comes out on Wednesday isn't going to be as important as now what they say as far as their guidance coming forth into 2020. So the thing that could make the markets move, and this is what's even leading to the plays we want to play here, is what they say about the next meetings. How are they pricing in everything into 2020? If they don't make an action here, how are they going to price things? Or what are they looking to do as far as cuts, keeping the rate here? Is this adjustment over? Are they going to start raising rates again? Who knows? But that's the first part, but then also the response that we get from both the president as well as the bank stocks, again, like I said, for the plays. But however Powell comments on the trade war and what that's leading and kind of the certainty, we saw kind of how Trump has been triggered by that in the past to kind of blow things up. So again, with those coming in hand, I wouldn't be surprised to see something there. But we want to see the response from the president, as well as now what do the banks do? Because again, the key isn't really what happens to the interest rate as much as now what they say about everything from the repo market to the interest on excess reserves, and to how they're setting up all of this stuff for the banks too, or really what action is going to have a negative or positive effect on banks. So that's one of the ones we want to watch. So that's another main key coming into tomorrow. But then lastly too, what I'm going to be even looking at this week, I still kind of even want to utilize some credit spreads, but as far as plays, I want to look for stocks that pretty much have low IV and that could quickly move to high IV, the big movers that don't really move all the time. This kind of came up during one of the 11 out of 11s, but a good example is UNH, and that is going to be, well, one of the plays I want to be looking at tomorrow. So let us get into the plays. As far as the first stock that I know is going to go crazy this week, and even then, this is going to be a swing trade. This is how I'm positioned for it. I've only put about $100 on the play so far that we got Thursday. I did that to scale in. The play already went up 100%. We posted this on the watch list. I'll go over that one, but I like this play, and I'm thinking, I got 2 or 3 weeks, pretty much the whole month of December to play this. But as we've seen from Bank of America after the Fed, it does take some time sometimes. So again, I got time to account for that melt up rather than a surge up or down. But the play here is the Bank of America 35 calls that expire on December 27th. And then we got the 30.5 puts that expire December 27th as well too. So we bought 5 of the puts at 10 cents each. Now they're trading for 7 cents. And then now here's the calls. Those went up 100% prior to that. So the calls are now like 16 to 18. We bought those for 10 cents. So since we've gotten the play, things have moved around a little bit. The puts got cheaper. The calls got expensive. So I want to see how they move coming into tomorrow. And I'm either going to get either more of that play, maybe one with a little bit of less time and a lot more time. Again, I'm going to make that decision as I see the pricing. And even then, too, if I'm not as confident getting it or even scaling into it, if I really can't find a play and the prices get too crazy, I'm going to wait for after the event, because even after the Fed reports, we saw it with TLT last time, and we even played Bank of America every single time. So I like this play a lot. I'm confident in it, but at the same time, we've played this every single time with the Fed, and we've seen how it moves. So there's going to be 2 opportunities both before and after. So that's the thing. If we can't find a way to put in more than that initial $100 we put in, I'm going to wait till after to come in and play it. So either way, though, I'm keeping my eyes on how I'm expecting the bank stocks to move. Again, I've talked about this. They're at an all-time high. So they're either going to give it up if there's anything negative from the Fed, or if there is future policy that's showing kind of bullishness for the banks, that'll be justification for them to go up along with all the other banks. So that's the first play, and that's the first one I want to watch that I think is going to go crazy this week. Then the next one is good old TLT. It's had a lot of moves. The expectations for even bond rates, this is where some people are even expecting TLT should average around this price for the whole entire year next year, because people are expecting rates to still be lower than last year, but not necessarily at an all-time low. It's like an interesting thing with what we're seeing with rates here. So again, TLT will probably be like Bank of America and have slower moves. So I want to look for the January, if not now, February contracts to kind of get that time, and to, again, look at the fact that it's probably going to move after its earnings, or not, it's not the earnings, excuse me, after the Fed, and it's going to move so pretty slowly, again, unless there is a big surprising factor. Now, that's the next thing, too. If there is something that comes out on the meeting or that starts to get digested after the Fed meeting that is negative, and it is definitely surprising, you will see that reflected through TLT. So that's going to be the first thing that's going to get hit, will be bonds. So keep that in mind. That's why I'm going to be watching them. There's stuff to look for. Again, the prices are going to be a little bit crazy. I'm going to be looking at the 165s for February. I think those are very, very far out. I just like the cheap price. There is going to be some January contracts, but I don't know if that covers the next Fed meeting. Yeah, so 28th and 29th. So the only way you would get it is February would cover the other one, would cover the next Fed meeting. But this is something, again, we've played these TLTs every time. It might even make sense to even go maybe even the December 27th. If we're going to play the follow-up, wait a day or two till the dip after the Fed, play these for a quick flip, because we've been playing some of these ones that cover the next meeting, but that's often led us to holding way too long, so we might as well even see if we could take an opportunity to take it on the short term. But that is something I'm going to be on the lookout for, so make sure you guys are on stream. You guys are streaming alerts. You'll see what happens. But that's what's my mind. That's what I'm looking out for, but I got to be cautious. But that's going to be the second play. And then the last play that I'm going to be looking for this week to go crazy, kind of out of left field, UNH. At a crucial level, that's what I like them. You pull up the all-time chart or the yearly chart. Last time they started selling off, last time they hit like 284. They're like $4 from there. They've had a nice run up. Healthcare oftentimes moves a little bit weird after the Fed meetings, because again, healthcare, biotechs, and some of these riskier plays or more volatile plays, they get priced a little bit weird. And now this was one of those stocks I was saying that it's a lower volatility stock, but when it does move, it has the potential to move big. So I like them near all-time highs. If anything confirms to the upside, I'm going to be looking for calls. But if they do sell off, that could also be a good opportunity if they start going down. Even looking at this here now, since it's going to be an issue of timing, Even a spread or iron condor could be good on this. So I'm going to be looking at these next week. I was looking at them last week. I didn't pull the trigger, so I'm going to keep watching them here, but UNH has definitely got my attention. But those are my 3 plays, so watch out for those. As far as everything else, I'm really just going to be paying a lot of attention to the banks, so keep your eye out for the banks tomorrow, again, this week with the Fed. All that is important. Watch TLT. You can even look at Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan as well, too. JP Morgan has a little bit less volatility if you're looking at the option pricing. Goldman Sachs, higher stock price, it could make bigger moves. So again, if you get in the money on a stock that's like 225, you could get a different type of gain. So again, you could play that Bank of America play. Even the same logic applies to Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. Why I even like Bank of America more is that it's a lower volatility stock and there's such a big float. It's not really going to move a lot. They're at all-time highs. So there's different ways that these are going to move. So at the same time, keep your eyes open for Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan. These are ones I'm going to be looking at. So watch out for them. And then now watch out Walmart. Let's see if they finally break out. It's been like 2 weeks since their earnings. It's a little bit late. But the fact that they're holding is one thing. You can even see them on a longer term. I mean, they're pretty stable. So this is very low volatility. So if they start moving in pricing, I'm going to like that. But again, now, even Walmart, HD, McDonald's, I'm going to be looking through all of these to see if we could even do some of the premium sales. HD, it's looking just like McDonald's did, like we were talking about this last pretty much week and a half here. So this is going to be good to set up a play. If it starts stalling out here, we're going to look for the iron condors and then even watch McDonald's. Again, if whichever direction McDonald's breaks out, that's going to be good. But these are, even down to Walmart, I'm going to be looking to sell premium on these and even just watch how they move in accordance with the market, rotations and everything. And then too, if we do see how the market reacts to the Fed, and that being said, too, rotations, watch Shopify and Roku. Remember, they had their pretty big moves. They kind of came down from last week. They didn't close the week as strong, but they still are at an interesting place. I think Roku's at a little bit more interesting place because it's literally a coin toss from here. I think Shopify was looking a little bit or a lot more bullish coming off of everything, but we will see. Watch their roll with everything. I still think those are going to be crazy. Watch Boeing as well too. Kind of stop that little mini downtrend. I want to see where it's at. It's kind of almost right at its equilibrium for the last 3 months. So that is interesting here. And again, we've been seeing some news here. I want, again, even them coming into the end of the year, expectations and all that, that's going to be important. Then watch Ulta. Remember, they had the earnings. We still had that one play. We said maybe it might come back to life, but if they start doing good and they have a strong continuation here, even while this is what I was saying, when the market's melting up, you might see some random stocks make some big moves. So don't forget, they had a good earnings. They were up on the high side. They had a lot of downside in the past. So watch for them on the continuation. Then, like we said, UNH, and then even Starbucks. This is one of those lower volatility stocks. And now someone even, I think it was Mr. Frizzle, he was saying it's just weird how they move like this. But, I brought it up on, you even take out like the 2-year chart, like for some time, like Starbucks didn't really move a lot. So that's why when we hit those plays early, I think it was August, right, or July, we caught Starbucks when it started to really start breaking out again and making these big moves. But there's been times where Starbucks could stay pretty, not really move much and have like a lot of stability. But this is, again, one of those lower volatility stocks. So if you do start seeing a rotation, and again, you can see where they've been the last 100 days, they could get a good rotational factor, and they have low volatility, and the volatility might increase. They may start to be expected to move a lot more. So watch out for them. Then lastly, chip makers and NVIDIA, AMD, again, both of where they're at. They kind of look the same. AMD's at least holding up, kind of negating some of that weakness. I thought about it earlier. I like NVIDIA too. Hopefully those get cheaper because it's been staying up here, but otherwise, they were expensive from last week. Watch Qualcomm as well, too. I don't know why I had Chipotle up there, but lastly, watch Beyond. They had that Costco news. They were kind of all over the place the other day, or even this last week. I think the Costco news was actually the day before that. They were just acting crazy, but we got that. I want to see if we add anything to the long-term portfolio. The last purchase was Beyond Meat, so we'll see where it goes. I have a few in mind. I'm excited to even build that, but it's going to be a good end of the year, but that's your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're hydrated, healthy, ready to go. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. Be positive, be respectful, get some good rest. Make sure you're hydrated, not too hydrated, so you don't wake up too many times in the middle of the night. You know what I'm saying? Just be in the game. Get ready to close the year out. It's almost done, baby. Let's go!